Hello and welcome to this Thursday edition of the World Report with me, Arjun Samar Mahindran. Let's take a look at what's making headlines around the world. A driver reportedly hell-bent on carnage rammed a truck into reveling crowds in United States' New Orleans' famous Bourbon Street, turning the new year into a tragedy. The FBI is investigating a mass casualty event when a man drove a pickup truck into crowds, killing at least 15 people in the early hours of New Year's Day in New Orleans. The U.S. Army veteran Shamsuddin Jabbar injured another 35 people, including shooting 2 police officers who returned fire and killed him. President-elect Donald Trump has issued a statement condemning the attack and said his administration will do everything to support the investigation into this quote-unquote act of evil. Meanwhile, President Joe Biden has said New Orleans attacker posted a video beforehand indicating he was inspired by Islamic State group. Listen in.
I'm not going to comment until I speak to the group later. I've spoken to every member of the agency, from the CIA to our national security team, to our FBI, NSC, and we're gathering all the, and I spent a lot of time with the government, with the mayor.
What was your reaction when you heard what happened?
Well, the reaction was one of anger and frustration.
A horrific incident unfolded outside the Trump International Hotel in Las Vegas on New Year's Day. A Tesla Cybertruck exploded in flames, killing 1 person and injuring at least 7 others. Witnesses captured dramatic footage of the Cybertruck engulfed in flames just steps away from the hotel entrance. Now, the explosion occurred mere hours after another deadly attack in New Orleans, where a truck plowed into crowds celebrating New Year's Day. Las Vegas Metropolitan Police are investigating, with the FBI now involved. Sheriff Kevin McMahill stated that the question remains unanswered about the link between the vehicle, the location, and the timing of the incident. Meanwhile, Elon Musk, Tesla CEO and advisor to President-elect Donald Trump, clarified that preliminary investigation showed the blast was caused by fireworks or a bomb inside the truck's bed, unrelated to the vehicle's design or function. In fact, Musk further went on to say that the suspect picked the wrong vehicle for a terrorist attack. He clarified that the Cybertruck actually contained the explosion and directed the blast upwards. Tesla is further investigating the matter. According to authorities, the Trump International Hotel, owned by the Trump Organization, was not directly targeted. However, with President-elect Trump set to take office on the 20th of January, speculation remains about the motive behind this explosion. Authorities have not ruled out terrorism as a possible cause just as of now. Investigations are ongoing.
We were told that a 2024 Cybertruck pulled up to the front of the hotel, and in fact I can tell you it pulled right up to the glass entrance doors of the hotel. We saw that smoke start showing from the vehicle, and then a large explosion from the truck occurs. There is one deceased individual in the Cybertruck, and I don't know whether it's a male or female at this time.
At least 10 people, including 2 children, were killed and 4 others were wounded in a shooting on Wednesday that followed a bar brawl in a western Montenegrin city, officials said. Police identified the attacker as 45-year-old Ako Martinovic. The country's Interior Minister Danilo Saranovic later told broadcaster RTCG that the gunman died from injuries en route to hospital after shooting himself. The gunman killed the owner of the bar in the city of Cetinje, the bar owner's children and his own family members, Saranovic said at a news conference. Now, Saranovic has confirmed that the suspect died from self-inflicted injuries on Thursday after attempting suicide. The gunman, identified by police as Alexander Martinovic, was a 45-year-old man. He attempted suicide near his home in the town of Cetinje after being cornered by cops.
Možemo da kažemo da je akcija uspješno izvršena, dakle ovo lice je bilo izolovano od strane ekspresnog djelovanja policijskih službenika i onog trenutka kada je vidjelo da se nalazi u bezizlaznoj situaciji, ovo lice je pokušalo da izvrši samoubistvo. Nije na licu mjesta podleglo povredama, ali smo u međuvremenu, dakle, na putu, odnosno tokom transporta ka kliničkom centru Crne Gore, ovo lice podleglo povredama i dozvolite da u ovom trenutku prenesem poruke mira, što je bilo najvažnije večeras građanima prijestolnice Cetinje, da mogu da se u ovom trenutku vrate normalnom načinu funkcionisanja.
In yet another attack in the United States, at least 10 people have been injured in a mass shooting outside a nightclub in New York's Queens on Wednesday evening. The shooting reportedly took place around 11:20 p.m. local time near the Amazura nightclub. The NYPD said none of the victims are in a critical condition and all are expected to survive. They have been taken to the Long Island Jewish Hospital and Cohen's Children's Medical Center for treatment. The NYPD has released details about the incident. Listen in.
Last night, January 1st, at approximately 11:18 p.m., the NYPD received multiple 911 calls for several people shot in front of an event space located here at 91-12 144th Place. Our initial investigation revealed that approximately 90 people were inside the location in an upstairs private event space. 3 to 4 males then opened fire over 30 times in the direction of the group standing outside the event space, striking multiple victims. The males fled on foot westbound on 91st Street towards 143rd Place, where they entered a light-colored sedan with out-of-state plates.
Meanwhile, in Bangladesh, incarcerated Hindu monk Chinmoy Krishnadas has finally had a shot at presenting his case before the Chittagong court on Thursday. However, the court has denied bail to Chinmoy Das during a hearing held under tight security earlier on Thursday. He can now appeal for bail in the High Court for his bail as his plea is rejected. Chinmoy Das, who had organized protests demanding the protection of minorities who continue to come under attack, was jailed under trumped-up charges including sedition. Bangladesh Army Chief General Waqar-ul-Zaman said in an interview on Wednesday that ties with New Delhi are based on quote-unquote give and take. While China is a partner in Bangladesh's development, Zaman said Dhaka would not take any action inimical to New Delhi's strategic interests as India was an important neighbor, but emphasized, however, that ties needed to be based on fairness. This was Zaman's first interview since the ouster of former Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, who fled to India on the 5th of August and remains in New Delhi. Hasina left the country following a 2-month-long student-led demonstration against a controversial quota system, which soon spiraled into a call for her resignation. Former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant announced his resignation from parliament on Wednesday. Gallant, who frequently clashed with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his far-right allies, made the decision months after being dismissed from the government. In a televised statement, Gallant said, and I'm quoting here, "There are moments in which one must stop, assess and choose a direction to achieve the goals." Now, he had been critical of exemptions for ultra-Orthodox men from military service and had also opposed Netanyahu's plans to weaken the Supreme Court. His dismissal in March 2023 triggered massive protests, forcing Netanyahu to reverse his decision. Both Gallant and Netanyahu, along with a Hamas leader, face International Criminal Court arrest warrants over alleged crimes in Gaza, which Israel contests.
ערב טוב. בקרוב אמסור ליושב ראש הכנסת את החלטתי לסיים את תפקידי כחבר הכנסת ה-25 בחלוף 45 שנים של שירות ושליחות למען מדינת ישראל. 35 שנים בצה"ל, עשור כחבר כנסת וכשר בממשלות ישראל, ובהן שנתיים דרמטיות בתפקיד שר הביטחון.
Russian gas exports via Ukraine's pipeline came to a halt on New Year's Day, ending decades of Moscow's dominance over Europe's energy market. Now, the stoppage announced by Gazprom follows Ukraine's decision not to renew its transit agreement. Unlike the 2022 crisis, Europe has secured alternative suppliers like Norway, the US, and even Qatar. Slovakia and Australia are unaffected, while Hungary continues to receive gas through the Turk Stream pipeline. However, the breakaway region of Transnistria in Moldova has reported heating and hot water cuts, highlighting localized impacts of the decision. Hundreds of Syrian soldiers and officers lined up to reconcile their status on Wednesday outside a reconciliation center in Syria's Homs. Former soldiers were aiming to register their details with the new interim government so they could get new identity cards that would allow them to live and move freely across the country. Former soldiers entering the center filled out an application form, received an application number, and posed for a photograph. They received a receipt that will allow them to receive a temporary ID in this case. The new Syrian interim government gave safety assurances to soldiers and police officers. A Syrian delegation led by the foreign and defense ministers along with the head of intelligence arrived in Saudi Arabia's Riyadh. Syria's new foreign minister Assad Hassan al-Shibani has said that he accepted an invitation from Saudi's foreign minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan bin Abdullah to visit Riyadh. Now, al-Shibani described the trip as a step towards re-establishing Syria's regional role. Two new justices were inaugurated in a ceremony at South Korea's Constitutional Court on Thursday. Cho Hang-chang and Jong Gai-son were recommended by the governing and opposition parties respectively. They were appointed by South Korea's acting president Choi Sang-mok on Tuesday, the final day of 2024.
저는 오늘 헌법재판소 재판관으로 새로운 출발을 하게 되었습니다. 영광스러운 자리이지만 그보다는 대한민국의 현 상황에서 헌법재판소에 대한 국민들의 시대적 요구와 헌법적 가치에 따르는 책임감과 사명감으로 마음이 무겁고 두렵기까지 합니다.
Two crew members of Australian airline Virgin Australia were allegedly victims of rape and theft in Nadi. The incident took place in the early hours of New Year's Day. The Fiji government has said that the police were investigating incidents involving Fiji Acting Commissioner of Police, Juki Fong Chu, said in a statement. The crew members were in the popular tourist destination on a layover before they were supposed to fly off the following day. Some Virgin crew members had gone to a nightclub in Nadi. Virgin, which said it was aware of the alleged incidents, has sent people to Fiji to provide support, but did not provide any further details. Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister for Political Affairs, Dr. Majid Takht Ravanchi, will be in Delhi on Thursday. He will attend the 19th round of Iran-India political consultations, which will be held on Thursday and Friday. Now, the minister is expected to discuss efforts to diffuse tensions in the region, including over Tehran's disputed nuclear program, before Donald Trump's return to the White House. Talks will also focus on bilateral cooperation, including over the Chabahar port project in Iran. Iran and India have a long-standing historical relationship. It is underscored by cultural and economic ties and formalized by the 2003 Strategic Partnership Agreement. A batch of emergency relief supplies donated by the Chinese government has arrived in Vanuatu's capital, Port Vila, on Thursday to aid in earthquake relief efforts in the Pacific Island nation following last month's deadly disaster. Totaling 35 tons in weight, the supplies include tent, folding beds, solar lights, food, water purifiers, and medical supplies. A handover ceremony was held at the Port Vila International Airport soon after the arrival of the Special 8 flight on Thursday morning. China has carried out the first combat patrol of the year. Taiwan Defense Minister has confirmed that the country detected almost 22 Chinese military aircraft, including the J-16 fighter jets, carrying out a joint combat readiness patrol around the island in conjunction with Chinese warships starting on Thursday morning. Now, this development, viewers, comes right after Taiwan President Lai Ching-te expressed willingness to talk to Beijing. Parts of the United Kingdom were flooded Wednesday as heavy rains and powerful winds continued to disrupt New Year's celebrations. Several communities in the Manchester area were flooded, with several homes evacuated and cars submerged after their roofs on roads. In parking lots after nearly a month's worth of rain fell in 2 days. Mountain rescue teams were called in to help firefighters respond to swamped properties and stranded vehicles. Over in Stockport, rivers were flooded and local flood wardens warned that extra measures may have to be taken. Warnings that indicate flooding is expected were issued at one point to more than 150 communities. That's right, 150 communities across the UK, with most being in northern England. Later in the day, dozens of those warnings had been lifted, however.
Yeah, so the first thing we noticed overall was a power cut before we saw the water. And then after that, it just sort of encroached and got higher and higher. And then we tried the lights weren't working, there was no water. And then we looked outside and saw this. And yeah, not the best way to spend New Year's.
According to the China Earthquake Network Center, a 4.8 magnitude earthquake jolted Yongning County in Sichuan, capital of northwest China's Ningxiahu Autonomous Region, on Thursday. Now, the epicenter was monitored at 34.4 degrees north latitude and 106.22 degrees east longitude. The quake struck at a depth of 10 kilometers. It's time to slip into a short break. See you on the other side. Welcome back. Asian markets had a rocky start to 2025, with shares slipping amid concerns over Donald Trump's upcoming inauguration and a hawkish Federal Reserve outlook. The MSCI Asia Pacific Index fell 0.58% in early trading, despite gaining over 7% in 2024. Now, uncertainty looms as global equities ended last year with a 16% annual gain, but saw losses in December. Meanwhile, stock futures point to a positive opening for the European and US markets. Indian car makers have been reporting strong sales to domestic dealers in December, driven by SUV demand and year-end discounts. Maruti Suzuki posted a 24% increase, including a 29% rise in small car sales. Now, the first growth in this segment in 20 months for Maruti Suzuki. Meanwhile, Mahindra & Mahindra reported a 16% sales jump. While SUVs account for over 50% of car sales in India, small cars remain crucial for makers like Maruti, contributing half of its sales this fiscal year. Alibaba is selling its 78.7% stake in Chinese hypermarket chain Sun Art Retail Group to DCP Capital for a whopping $1.6 billion. Now, the e-commerce giant bought the controlling stake for $3.6 billion in 2020, but is now reshuffling its portfolio to focus on core e-commerce operations instead. The sale comes after Sun's art shares soared 85% last year, significantly outperforming the Hang Seng Index. Alibaba is also divesting its Chinese departmental store unit, Intime, as part of its business overhaul. Russian President Vladimir Putin has ordered the government and Sberbank to strengthen artificial intelligence cooperation with China. Now, the move comes amid Western sanctions limiting Russia's access to critical microchip technology. The Kremlin says the collaboration is crucial for advancing technological research and development, particularly as Russia builds alliances with BRICS nations. The Washington Post is reporting Chinese government hackers have reportedly breached the United States Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control, which administers economic sanctions. The hackers also targeted the Office of Financial Research and the Office of Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. Earlier this week, the Treasury disclosed that unclassified documents were indeed stolen in what it describes as a quote-unquote major incident. It remains unclear, however, how this breach might impact US financial security. Apple is offering rare discounts on its latest iPhone models in China to counter rising competition from domestic brands like Huawei. From the 4th of January to the 7th, customers can get discounts of up to $68 on specific iPhone models when using designated payment methods. The promotion applies to the flagship iPhone 16, iPhone 16 Plus, iPhone 16 Pro, and the Pro Max model as well. Analysts say that the move reflects Apple's efforts to maintain its market share in one of its most crucial markets. Meanwhile, Malaysia has granted operating license to Tencent's WeChat and ByteDance's TikTok under its new social media law aimed at combating cybercrime. Platforms with over 8 million local users must now obtain a license or face legal action. The Malaysian Communications and Multimedia Commission says Telegram is finalizing its license, while Meta, which owns Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, has begun the process. Meanwhile, Elon Musk owned social media platform X, formerly Twitter, has not applied, claiming it does not meet the 8 million user threshold, a claim currently under review by the country's regulators. The Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle, is starting the new year with the first Instagram account since 2020, viewers. Meghan's first post is a black and white video of herself at the beach, wearing white and drawing 2025 in the sand on an overcast day. That's all we have for you today. I'll see you tomorrow. Take care and have a wonderful day.